Coming to you live from my apartment. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong show. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison, and welcome to my weekly meltdown as my light falls to the floor at the beginning of the show. I am Allison Kelly. Welcome to my weekly meltdown. This is a special show that we have tonight. We have with us RHAP's one and only Rob Cesternino. How are you doing, Rob?
Thank you for having me, Allison. I'm doing okay.
You doing all right?
Tired today.
Why?
Yeah.
Why are you tired?
Late night. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear me complain on the West Coast about a late night of playing Sequester.
That's true. I was up till I think the winter was crowned at 1:45 in the morning here in New York. So it was a crazy long but really, really fun, great mini that was hosted last night by Audrey and the team at Sequester. And speaking of, Beth was one of the moderators last night. So great job to Beth for, keeping all these crazy personalities in check the whole night. So
listen, my room was popular. There were times where I don't think they had any opportunity to strategize. I just sat there and they got to listen to my voice for a little while. So. Rob's been in my room for quite a while too.
Oh, I like to park. I'm used to this. This is like a conversation. I don't want to be going in and out of different podcasts back and forth. I mean, this is I'm gonna play to my strengths.
It's hard hopping in and out of those rooms.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Some inside scoop is, I won't lie, Rob, all of us in the chat were sitting back and trying to track, okay, we know that, where's Brent been? And Brent's been in every room, every single round. He's all over the place. We're good. And then we're and I was literally 2 hours in, I was has anyone seen Rob besides okay, where? And then all of a sudden you popped into my room and then just parked there for a while. And I was all right, well, I got him. I got eyes on him.
I'll stay in one room for a while. I want to talk to people. And then, I feel like there's probably, a lot of merit to strategy of bouncing around. But I felt like that, I was just trying to get anybody to talk to me.
Definitely. So, Rob, was that your strategy going into this? Was it I'm going to just let the people come to me and let the people come into my room and see what they can offer me in terms of alliances and deals?
No, I wouldn't really say I had a great strategy coming in. I sort of I am a newbie to Sequester. I did think maybe I underestimated that. I thought that people would be like, hey, I'd like to work with Rob. I thought that maybe people would be like, hey, well, this will be fun if we keep Rob around for a little while. And I thought that people would be maybe wanting to work with me a little bit more than they actually did.
Yeah, you were you had your back up against the wall for the first 3 rounds. You were one of the few people who was up for elimination in the first 4 rounds or something like that.
Yeah. For the whole that I basically when Amon, when he got voted out, he gave me safety. I think that was the first round that I was safe for the entire game.
Yeah, no, that was pretty crazy. We're all sitting in the mod room oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Poor Brian. Brian was the other one who got being up for elimination in the very beginning. So we were happy when you finally got a little bit of safety to kind of rest a little bit.
A little bit.
Did you find that, a little bit? Did you find that you felt any kind of ease when you had safety, or did you still have adrenaline pumping?
Yeah, a little bit. I was able to sort of relax. I mean, I really never had a good sense of what was going on at any point. But I did feel like that, there was a turning point where it's okay, then I was safe. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get a feel of where the alliances are. And I'm not in any of them, but I kind of started to sense okay, that this wall is hot and this wall is hot. So I feel like I'm everything's on fire. But I felt like that. How do I try to get myself as much just between the two sides as opposed to being the target of either side?
Yeah.
Definitely. Did you pregame at all going into this? I know some people did, some people did not.
Yeah, I know people did. I got a bunch of text messages during the week, and I was just I can't wait. Looks like fun. I just didn't feel like that was the right move for me to do. I knew it was people were gonna pregame, but I felt like I shouldn't be pregaming on the for Sequester.
I think that might have made you a bigger target had you decided pregame. People would.
Think so.
Yeah.
I I made an alliance, Rob. So I think that probably would have done you in a little sooner, probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one thing about Sequester is when we started playing, like the first time that I played in, 2015, when it was still fairly new, because I played cycle 5 for the first time. And that was 5 years ago. And that was 2 hours a night for 7 days. And that was the longest 2 hours every night of my life. And I was so dumb. I didn't realize, so I'm saying all this stuff and everything's going on, that it was being broadcast on Twitter and everybody was telling your game and everything. And then the next night it was like, so Allison, I heard you were talking shit about me in room 4 all night. And I'm like, what? So what Sequester for me, it was like, it's hard because your game is exposed every single night when they played that way. And when you're playing a mini, it's so quick. And that's why when, we were interviewing all of the people who play what I call the live action version, you always ask them, how are you going to go about playing this game? What is your strategy going to be? And well, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch. And we were telling them, no, you don't understand. There's no time to sit back and really watch because you're doing this. Audrey is throwing twists at you. I mean, you guys started out with a twist right away. In each room, they had to pick someone to put up for elimination. And Rob, you were the person picked in that room because we all knew you weren't going to go. I mean,
yeah. Well, I volunteered myself, and I should have probably fought it a little bit more, and but I think I was like, I really thought that I would say, because I said to Brent, I said, well, when the microphones came on, I had said to Brent, I said, Brent, what a tough break for you to go up in the first thing. But I knew that he would probably go out. And I said, okay, well, let me help Brent out here. And I think I'll be safe. I don't think that people will want to see me go out first. And so I'll save also Bobby and Jess, who had a much lower profile. And I thought that people would probably want to just target the people that I don't really know that person. Let me just vote them out. So I thought I really did a solid for the people that were in my room. And I thought especially for Brent, I thought I would extend an olive branch to Brent and say, Brent, I don't, I'm not targeting you. I don't want you to go home. I thought that would maybe, because I really thought for people like Brent who came in with a big target, he would want to keep other big targets in the game.
No, it's so true. Actually, it was really funny. My starting room was Mike, Jenny, Puya. I actually had the final 2 in my starting room, which was Jenny and Puya, and then Melissa was also in there. And the instant that they all came on, they said, okay, so whoever going to go up against, we know that Brent's going home. So because we know that Brent's going to be the one that gets nominated, whatever room he's in.
Yeah.
So they when Audrey was reading out all the people who got nominated, they were like, oh my gosh, Brent's not up. Like, who are we going to do? And Tyler's not up either. Those were the 2 we thought would get nominated, and they're not. So
Well, yeah. I think speaking of Tyler, I think we all want to hear your side of the most iconic feud of the night, probably.
Yeah. By the way, Tyler, you're my favorite Tyler.
Thank you.
I don't have the great relationship with Tylers normally, but you, Tyler, you're the one.
Thank you. I take that with great honor. But let's
Rob,
definitely.
You don't know how big you just made his head and how I'm never
number one Tyler in my book.
Gonna hear the end of this.
Goodness. Well, let's talk about some other Tylers. Probably not ones that are on the favorable side. So let's talk about your feud with Tyler Kakuno, the most iconic fight of the night, and Kirsten's right in the middle of it, just oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening right now. So walk us through what happened, what's going on with that.
So in our original room that we were talking about, I'm gonna go up, and we had the conversation about who else would who else would be good people to vote for if they came up in the next round, and nobody wanted to throw out a name, and I said I did say Tyler's name. In that I felt like the safest name to say, because that you would feel like that of the people that were playing, he would be the most hated person and the person that if he comes up for a vote, probably like that's a safe name to say because thinking everybody wants him out anyway. I did not have a particular again, as somebody who I considered that I thought I would be kind of a big target. I wanted to keep the other big targets in the game, like a Tyler Kakuno.
Yeah.
And so then I got word very quickly, like that. Hey, Tyler's like I hear you're saying my name, and now I know that Jess and Bobby aren't talking to Tyler. So I'm like, okay, now, all right. So did Brent already throw me under the bus to Tyler? And so I did say to Tyler, I didn't deny it. I said, yeah, I did say your name. And I got to be honest, I didn't like what you said in your video about how, for me, this is personal. It's not business. Because my issue with him is that he's been a longtime member of my patron community, and I have had more issues and complaints with him than any other person in the 6-year history of the Rob is a Podcast patron group. And he started as a patron, and he was a young kid, and he was, I don't know, he was 17 or 18 years old, and he was in high school, and I was like, okay, he's just, he's a young guy, and I really was, very much like, okay, let me give him another chance. I think he would call into the patron cast. Sometimes he'd have good questions, and it was like, okay, he's kind of a jerk, but he's our jerk, and so I had a soft spot for him for many years, but that the mistakes that he made that I attributed to him being young, that over time I really started to feel more and more, okay, he is a troll here in the group. And what I didn't want was for him to ruin the game for people. Yeah. And I said that like a short version of that with him, where I'm like, look, I just felt like that you're saying, hey, I'm here to ruin this for everybody. And if you're telling me that's not how you're going to play, that's fine. And I thought we said, okay. And I thought we had a conversation, and then the next time I was in a room, then people were telling me, oh, Tyler's coming for you. Tyler. Yeah. And then, so I saw him again. I was like, Tyler, what the hell is your problem? What, like, why? And then he went into the whole thing like, oh, like, you're my target. If you go home, I win. Like, you are such an asshole. Really?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was like, you stupid idiot. That your best chance here is to work with me, and so that if you're going to go ahead and try to make it into, okay, well, that'll be how I'll ruin this for people. I'll take Rob out early, and then I'll declare victory. I said, well, that's a mistake for you.
Yeah. Well, Kirsten's like in the middle of this. She's like, hold on, I have to put down my goldfish, and just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And Beth, like, you as like a room moderator, were you guys like messaging back and forth like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening right now?
I was upset because I can only see what's happening in my room, and it didn't happen in my room.
Yeah.
I was happy I got the Rob versus Brent thing in my room. That was fun. That was about it.
Let's hear about
tell us about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but I did also feel like that, very, like, I did start to feel like, okay, well, now I am on the ropes, and I felt like that it was probably a good idea to also publicly declare war against Tyler, because I felt like that at least people know where okay, people are like, well, I don't like maybe we should get Rob out. Like, okay, well, if he's gunning for Tyler, then at least I know what he's doing. So I felt like that maybe it would help to not make my name be top of mind for people as much, that I had my own thing going on with Tyler. But I think later on, even after, I think it might have been, I'm not sure if Tyler was gone yet or not, but I finally ran into Brent, and I said, Brent, I gotta feel like you're throwing my name under the bus, and he did a very much a Brent thing of like, well, not exactly. I didn't really see it like that. I can understand why you thought that was the case, and so I said, listen, Brent, I was like, I was not gunning for you. I was trying to keep you in this game, and so. Honestly, it's a blur. I feel like that I probably had 2 or 3 conversations with Brent like that during the course of the game, but I was, very annoyed that, he would, throw me under the bus so quickly.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, it was crazy to see, especially because like me as a patron too, like I've heard like all of these voices like throughout the years, and to just like see all these people play and, you know, turn their back on one another and everything. It was so exciting from start to finish. Did you have like a particular round that you enjoyed the most in terms of like twists and how the game was shaping up and everything?
So I felt like that I started to get my feet under me a little bit, like as the game like went on to like around the time, like when we got to like the final 8 on, that was just very, very exciting. There, you know, I had an issue where I had a problem with my like room 1 audio or my live stream audio where I did not get the rules down in terms of like I think 2 different times when they were twists. Like I either one time I might have just spaced out, and the second time I did not hear anything. When Shannon got booted and dragged Mary, I saw people putting their mics back on, and I was like, "Hey, what happened? Are we allowed to?" And they were like, "Yeah, Shannon." I'm like, "What? What? I didn't hear any of that."
Yeah.
So I was like even more confused than I was the rest of the game. So. But I did feel like that, like when we got to the point where that had happened, I was like, okay, I really was starting to see like daylight where I could fit in. But there were just like so many like just people that were just had like these like end deals with each other that I just couldn't crack anything, and nobody wanted to work with me. Like I got to a good point where people were sort of like targeting like sides, and that was great. But then I reached a point where the sides were just like, okay, well, we all have to just get rid of Rob.
Right. I think your target like kind of preceded you, and you're right. Like I feel like there were definitely like certain groups of people that were so tight, like all the way to the end. Like there's no way to break through that. Did you received an LOS and played it, correct?
Twice, yeah.
Twice. Okay, cool. I kind of figured.
Oh, okay.
I really like how they don't say like, they just say like the LOS was played. They don't say like Rob played it for himself or whatever. Like there's so much mystery, and that kind of helped Rob like at least like not become like an even bigger target than he was.
It helps immensely because the mini that I won like all the LOSs pretty much. And nobody
I know
like,
you did. I know you did,
LOSs. I'm a fast freaking typer. And I'm in there typing, like I'm ready to go. I'm like a gunslinger when it comes to typing. And it's like I'm there, I'm in there, I hit it, I'm good. I've got it. And in my final 2 speech, I let it out of the bag. I was like, I got all the LOSs. And then they tried to throw it in my face. Oh, she thinks she only made it this far because she got the LOSs. Bitch, no. Okay. I'm freaking 43 years old. I took typing class before you guys, your dads were still in diapers. Don't even get me started. I'm seriously, this is for real. You know, I knew one of these days that 10th grade class would come in handy for something. And it did. I got LOSs. And they do matter and they do help. And I like that you're not outed when you get them. Yeah. Because you do, it does make a big deal. Because back when we played old school, Allison got the LOS. Well, I'm out of here. I'm out next.
Yeah, so, especially in a game like Sequester, like people are looking for any excuse to target anybody. So it definitely helps the player out for sure. We have a question in the chat. Rob, why did you leave the showmance in for so long?
Well, that implies that I had any agency in being able to get anybody out at any point. So I misunderstood a little bit of, and they did a good job, everybody else, of like keeping me in the dark. So from that around the time where like things got really crazy, around the time like that Brent went out of the game. So I was sort of looking at things that, like I was like keeping notes on what was going on, and I felt like whether or not it was real, it seemed like that there were people that were gunning for Mary and Jenny and Kirsten, and it seemed like that was like a 3 that was being talked about. And then on the other side, I felt like that there was, you know, Brent. And it seemed like that Brent had like Kalish and Jess and Bobby with him. At least, again, this is how I saw it. And I thought and Shannon, I thought that Shannon was with that group. And then I thought about like that Puya and Liana. I was never really sure. I felt like I was good with Puya. I never felt like I was good with Liana. Liana, Liana gave me nothing the entire game. Every conversation that I had with Liana was like, I don't know what's going on. And she definitely did. But I felt like that Puya had my back to some degree, which I don't. Ultimately, he did not. But I felt like that he was good with it. I felt like I at least had some productive conversations with him. Sure. So to me, like, I didn't really ever know, like, but I thought that maybe there was a chance that Puya and Liana were sort of like a loose two, that I wasn't concerned with them because I felt like that they were the two sides. And I thought that maybe I could, as part of being in the middle, I thought I could vote with them eventually. I became very concerned with them at the final 6, and I really wanted to split them up because I felt like that at the final 6, if Puya or Liana went home, I could pick up the remaining one of them and Jenny, and then break up Jordan and Bobby going home. But ultimately, that's not what happened either.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Allison.
I was just going to ask. So Rob. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, so I think that Liana was the most impressive. Liana, that I think she played the best game. Also, Shannon Gates was another person who did not work with me, but she just seemed like so super confident and knew what she was doing. And I was really impressed with a couple of people. There was one point where it was the round ultimately where Shannon went home. And even though she went out in that round, she had like a real key understanding of what the rules were going to be. She's talking about the vote split. And I asked a question to her. I'm like, wait, hold on. So let me just get this straight. And she was like, honestly, I don't have time to explain it again, Rob. Like, I'm leaving this room. I don't even want to explain it to you. I don't have this kind of time. Somebody else explain it to him. I'm moving on. Like, all right, I just asked a question.
There's a lot of stress that goes into playing. People snap
she came into my room and she fully was like asking a question. Then she wanted clarification on something, and she fully just goes, "Moderator, look that up for me," and then just continued on. And I was like, I've never in my life heard.
Yeah,
I will use the moderator.
Yeah, and I don't know, Rob, do you know if like Liana or Shannon, like any of these like big players, did they have any previous experience with Sequester going into this, or were
Shannon
they like adapted?
Definitely did not. Liana, I would think, was maybe a little bit more familiar with it, but just because it's like more similar to Big Brother. But I don't think that either had a particular like real affinity for it before.
Yeah, and Shannon said on Twitter after she was eliminated that she went out with an LOS in her pocket. Like, she forgot to play it. So who knows what the game would have been like if she stayed instead of going there. But it was a shame that she went out like right before jury, considering she was just playing like.
Well, I think she had another podcast to record. I think she was recording a podcast. So I think it was fortunate in that sense. But that was a really big moment in the game for me when Shannon went out and she dragged Mary out of the game, because I was very scared of Mary. I feel like that I never really talked to Mary. The one time I talked with Mary, she talked like it was all small talk with her. We did not talk game at all. And I felt like that Mary and Kirsten and Jenny, I still don't even know if they were actually working together to some degree. I think Mary and Kirsten more so than Jenny with Mary and Kirsten. But I think that Mary is a really great gamer. I was very scared of Mary, and I did not feel like Mary was working with me at all. So I was actually very happy where Mary went out, where to me, in my mind, and again, I don't know, I still don't even know what's right and what's wrong, that Shannon was a cog in the, after Brent went out, I looked at Shannon as like the head of one side, and I thought that Mary was the head of the other side. And when I found out they both went out, I was like, oh, this is huge for me. Yeah,
that definitely opened up the game a lot. And I think that's what Shannon was thinking when she made that decision, was to take her out and kind of make the game a little bit more fluid. And Matt Henning also points out in the chat that Mary is an alumni for Sequester. So she has played this game before. So you were definitely right to be looking at her and not forgetting about her, because I feel like considering all the orgs that she's played and the strategy she brings, she was playing a very under the radar game. You know, she had no spotlight on her like somebody like Liana did, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Sequester 101 when you're playing the online version, that if you pop in a room and there's people in there and they're talking, and then you come in there and they're like, well, hey, I was about to come look for you. Oh, I was hoping you would pop in here. Oh, no, they're talking about you. Yeah. And then they get quiet and they will, well, give me a name. Who are you thinking? No, because I know that I just butted in a conversation that was about me. Mm-hmm. Like the paranoia is ridiculous. Now, let me ask you something, Rob. Have you done a cast since last night with all of these people? Because I'm kind of wondering what it's going to be like when you guys do. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody is going to be upset with me. I don't know what I did to I don't think maybe somebody's upset with me. Mel seems upset with me. But I don't know if there's anybody that really feels like I backstabbed them in any particular way where, I said that I was with them and then ultimately really stabbed them in the back in a bad way. But that Taryn was doing had like a virtual reunion going on earlier today. So I did pop in there briefly.
Yeah. People are asking in the chat, is Tyler fired yet?
Fired from what? He doesn't work for me. I don't even know why he was on the thing last night.
He's a patron, right?
He is a patron. He's never been on a podcast. I would never put him on a podcast. Brent cast him because Brent said, oh, well, I need to find somebody who's a bigger villain than me so that people won't pay attention to me. And that's why he was there. That it was 100% that he should not have been. He did not fit the criteria as anybody he has never been on any episode of Rob as a Podcast unless he had sent like a voicemail in.
So if you had your choice, who was somebody who didn't play that maybe you would have loved to have had the chance to play with? I'm sorry if you already answered that.
Josh Wiggler would have been very fun to have him there.
Yeah,
Eric Stein seemed like that he was up for it on Twitter, and I don't think that anybody had asked him. I'm trying to think of anybody else that would have been. I mean, of course, Taryn would have been great to have Taryn in the game. There's a bunch of people that it would have been fun to have them there.
Yeah. So this is like the exact opposite experience, I have to assume, of Survivor, which was probably a slower paced game than last night. And also you're inside and not out on an island or in the Amazon. What are like the key differences that you found that you needed to adapt in playing these different kinds of games?
Well, in Survivor, there's so much downtime that you really... There's never a point, and again, I haven't played in like the super new school era, but there's never a point on Survivor where it's like, I would have I really regret that I didn't get a one-on-one with Jenny at any point after Kirsten went out. Because I really thought that, okay, Kirsten went out and Jenny is going to be my person. I didn't know she was as aligned with Puya and Liana as she ultimately was. There's never a time on Survivor where I never got to talk to that person. Or, I can't get in a room. Like there might be times where I can't get alone with that person. But it was just frustrating that I felt like there were conversations that I wanted to have with people. And I either couldn't get in rooms or couldn't get them, couldn't find them in a room. And that's what, is the hardest thing. Because I really felt like that. At least last night, I felt like, if I could have had those conversations, ultimately, it seems like that people were very, dead set about, that there was a ceiling that I was going to hit and nobody was going to go, vote with me at any point past where I got. So that's the biggest difference for me.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was laughing to myself because all I could think of last night was people would pop into my room. And I know that room 2 ended up being like the confessional room where people would pop in and nobody would be there and they would just talk and then they would leave. But all I could think of is like the background soundtrack was Hearts Alone. Like, how do I get you alone? Like that song was, I'm sure, on everybody's mind when it comes down to like, that is the hardest part I think about these minis is you don't know where to find people. I imagine in a Big Brother house or on an island, you know where people relatively are to go have those conversations. You don't know which room they're in and you don't know how to get the information out quickly so that somebody doesn't pop in.
Yeah.
You can confuse them though, because when I played with Kim Matina during All Stars, there were 6 rooms, and someone would pop in and be like, "Okay, listen, we'll be there in a minute. Go to room 7, and we'll be there in a minute." And that person would pop out, and we would keep talking, and there's no room 7.
So Liv points out in the chat, she says, Kirsten was Rob's greatest ally, a loyal informant. I was so sad to see Kirsten.
That was a big turning point also when Kirsten went out.
Yeah. Walk us through that. So you were on the wheel, right?
Yeah, that was on the wheel.
Yeah.
And it came down to that Jordan Kalish had Kirsten as his bounty, and Jenny was my bounty. And so I felt like I had I talked to Jordan, and Jordan's like, well, Kirsten is my bounty, so let's vote for Kirsten. Which after Mary went out, I'm like, I don't I want to be the new Mary. I want to be working with Jenny and Kirsten now because I feel like that. Let me fortify that side. I wanted to go back and forth. I really wanted to play both sides. And then, okay, they just lost somebody from their side. I could work with them for a couple of votes and then knock out. I'm starting to see okay, well, now we got to look at, Jordan and Bobby and Jess are seemingly together. And so I felt like that was I wanted to work with that side. I thought a really good talk with Jenny. She was my bounty. I said, Jenny, you're my bounty, and I'm not voting for you. I just want to let you know. And I thought that I would really win a lot of trust over from her when I said that. And I got to a room with Kirsten, and she was, and I think that there was some talk that Jess had me as a bounty, and I was hearing Jess wants to vote for you because you are her bounty, and so. I was like, okay, all right. I guess are we voting for Jess? And people were trying to push me for Jess, and I was fine because I wanted to sort of break up the hyenas, as I was calling them. and I talked to Kirsten, and Kirsten was like, no, it has to be Kalish. That I'm telling you, vote for Kalish. She said, vote for Kalish. And I said, okay, all right. And then it was a tie. Between me and Jordan, and then I felt like that. Oh, well, I think I'm good on the tie because it was going to be. I guess it was. I think that was the final 8, and you guys might know this better than me. It was the final 8, and I thought that if it was 3-3, I felt like that Jenny and Kirsten were going to have me, and I thought Puya was probably also going to be a vote for me. And so I felt like that no matter what, I thought I was going to be safe. And I thought that maybe somebody else would flip and vote out Kalish also. I thought that maybe Liana, but I guess Liana must have been voting for me also at that time. And I guess that, Jess and Bobby were probably also voting for me if I had to guess. Then we went to the wheel, and that was a really lousy draw for me that Kirsten went out.
Yeah, that really opened up the game a lot in terms of how everybody went moving forward and everything. While that wheel was spinning,
did I have that right? Did I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you did.
So Puya and Liana were actually split on me.
I think so. I'm pretty sure they were, but again, I was
Shout
only
out to
stuck
Puya.
with So while that wheel was spinning, were you who were you hoping it landed on there?
I was hoping that it would be anybody except for Jenny or Kirsten. I guess, or Puya.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was interesting. Any of those, the wheel or the red button, those kind of things, from a fan, from a viewer perspective, you're like, yes, the wheel. But as soon as it happens, everyone's like, no, the wheel. We didn't want to.
You don't want the wheel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I have to say, my
Never
game
want the
personally
wheel.
has been saved quite a few times by the wheel. I've
Oh.
been forcing ties, that kind of thing. So I've loved the wheel.
I have
did not like it last.
I've said I'm not going to the wheel.
See, I was hoping that the wheel, when they did room roulette, where it was like, okay, this room 3, you're safe. I thought it was going to be, when I first saw Kirsten's name come up, I was like, oh, this is good. Kirsten's safe.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and for whatever reason, I was in the room with her and there was a lag. And then I saw the wheel land on Kirsten. And then 20 seconds later, I saw her react to it.
Like, oh no. Yeah.
But really, she ended up getting herself voted out of the game because she convinced me to vote for Kalish. And if I didn't put my vote on Kalish, I guess that I would have been I would have been voted out. So I put the vote on Kalish to get it to the tie. And then that ultimately was what forced it to the tie. So she did save me.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this though, when it comes to wheels and such and forcing ties, Allison and I were a part of a 4-way final 4 tie where we re-voted twice. It was about to go to a wheel and I said, I don't want to do the wheel. I changed my vote and I got dragged out. And if I had stuck with my vote, I was voting out Allison.
Who are you voting for?
Sorry about it. I probably wouldn't have been dragged out, and I know I wouldn't have been voted out. So, sometimes you kind of do want to put it to a 25% chance in that situation. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm with Allison on this one. Like, I don't think I would ever go to the wheel. And like, it's not worth it to me. Like, but I'm very like a risk averse with like that type of thing. Like just going off in like a wheel or like going to rocks and Survivor, like something like that is just so terrifying to me.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible. It makes you sick because you've worked so hard to get so far in the game. And if you're coming down to like final 6 and nobody can make a freaking decision and you're going to spin the wheel, you're going to give me a heart attack. And I got really angry and I said, I'm not going to the MF and wheel. Somebody change their vote.
Yeah, I really was surprised. I thought people would have wanted to, would have switched their vote to vote. In my mind, I thought they were going to switch their vote to vote against Jordan, but they stuck to the time.
So many people were talking about getting Jordan out at that time. He had like a huge target on him for whatever reason.
Well, he had re-entered the game, and as somebody who won a mini last week by re-entering the game and then going all the way again, that is a threat because the people who re-enter the game often have the ability to actually sit and watch the game. It's not like you're sequestered out. I had the ability to do so, and I know that all of the people who battled and made it back into the game, Mel and Jordan, I think they also were able to sit and watch. So they had a lot of powerful intel that they could use to their advantage.
Yeah.
We have a question from Kim Mattina, winner of Sequester Live Season 2.
I love that picture.
Rob, she's like, hey, I won Season 2. Rob, now that you've played in hindsight being 2020, what would you have done differently?
It's really hard to say. Everything was going by so fast. The one thing that if I'm mad at myself about anything, it's that I feel like that I could have played the final 6 better, where there was talk about a vote split, and in hindsight, that if there were 2 votes on Liana and 2 votes on Puya and 2 votes on whoever Liana and Puya were voting for, then it would have been a 2-2-2 tie. Let it go to the wheel. That if even if Liana plays the LOS there like she did, then we still have a shot. I was immune. It would have been. That's what I should have done, but I didn't see that. In terms of like, I just wanted to talk. I wanted to talk to Puya and Liana. I wanted to I felt like I still didn't trust what Jordan and Bobby were saying to me. I wanted to get alone with Jenny, and I couldn't get into rooms. And as like at some point, because I remember I went into a room and I couldn't get in, and I'm like, you know what? I'm immune. You guys find me. And like I really thought that I had more power here, where I'm like, hey, come talk to me, and I did let it go to my head that I was safe. I should have played it. I should have played it better, but I really thought that I was had some measure of control here. And I also wish I would have voted for Puya. I don't know if that would have changed anything there. I threw my vote onto Liana. I thought I was more scared of Liana. I thought Puya would have worked with me more than Liana was if she stayed. I kind of just threw caution to the wind. If she has an LOS, she has an LOS. But I think that maybe I have like a slight more of a snowball's chance of like with Jenny and Puya, and now let's vote against Jordan and Bobby, who seem like a pair. But Bobby was working with Puya also, so
yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
What I was just going to say is I was sitting there in the final 6 going, Rob, this is your time to curry favor with people and point out that you need to work with them, and then you can vote me out in final 4 because that's what's like. And so what ended up happening is all that conversation waited until the final 5 when it was the 2 pairs going, well, we don't want Rob, and that's fine. And I was like, no, this Rob could have used the safety a little bit more to his advantage in that round. But it's a hard situation. And I wish that either Liana and Puya, although it would have been much more advantageous for Jenny and Bobby to sit back and realize
I was disappointed in Jenny and Bobby. I really was, that they were like, yeah, we'd rather go to the end with Liana. But like, really? Yeah. Really? Well, I was dumbfounded, but I guess I didn't realize that Jenny was working with Liana and Puya and Bobby was like most loyal to Puya, but it was just like,
but in that situation, you hinted at it, but I don't think you ever quite came out with it. But to be perfectly honest, I mean, even though it was in my room and I had a front row view, which was great, I was also looking at 50,000 other things. I wish that you could have pointed out what's going to happen is in a final 2 or in a final 4, none of your pair is not going to be final 2 and your pair is not going to be final 2. It's going to be a mixed match of one of your pairs. If you bring me to the final 4, you have a common enemy to vote out at final 4, and therefore you have a better chance.
Well, I would have had to have known the rules of sequester beforehand to really have an understanding of how that was all going to play. I learned the basic rules. I did not envision myself of learning the intricacies of the final 4. I did not think that was something I would need to know.
Yeah, the final 4, it's hard to have a planned strategy to go in. You really have to be good at people reading, understand what the relationships are there, and then you want to paint yourself as someone who you want to bring to the end, but simultaneously don't want to be too big of a target that people feel like they're going to lose against. It's sometimes the cards are just stacked against you.
It's so tough. It's so complicated. Like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think it's very tough. We have a question from somebody in the chat.
Hey, Tyler
Takuno wants to know, can we be friends again?
Well, what do I get out of being friends with Tyler? What is the upside here? It's been 6 years that I'm sorry. Oh, I won't do it again. And then it'll be the same thing. It'll be the same thing tomorrow. What is the upside here?
Tyler, I think you need to be baking some cookies here, man. That's all.
Right. So let's talk about the final.
The only thing is he going to be? Will he be more horrible to if we're not quote unquote friends? That's the question.
Well, I guess you're going to find out.
I don't know. I'm still I really am dumbfounded that of any person that's in this game, the person that has gone to bat for this guy more than anyone, maybe perhaps Brent, but then I'm a close number 2 of people that have had to, suffer defending this guy.
I love it.
Kim's team Rob on this one. So let's talk about the final, because of course it came down to Jenny and Puya. One of like both sides. Allison, are you okay?
Yeah, my studio's falling apart. It's a makeshift. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. And some people I feel like agree with me here. I feel like Jenny did a better job explaining her game at the end. Walk us through like what you were thinking in terms of like casting your vote, what you thought about the final 2 and what they had to say, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Jenny did do a good job in defending herself in the final 2, but for me, that I just felt like that it was the tandem of Puya and Liana that really controlled the end game. They really had all the power. I was frustrated that I felt like Jenny really stonewalled me towards the end of the game, wouldn't even like consider my proposal to work with me. She did have good answers, but I thought that the thing that Puya had said that really swayed me was I was riding Liana's coattails, but Jenny was riding me and Liana's coattails. So I felt like that. Really, for me, I voted for Puya, but it was really a vote for Liana.
Yeah, definitely. I think like Liana was like definitely
but again, and also to say that I didn't have any idea that Puya had Bobby until the end, and so that was also impressive, and so I thought that they controlled things a lot more than Jenny controlled how things ultimately went.
Yeah. Did you go into that final, before your question was asked or before you heard any arguments, were you thinking like, oh, I'm probably going to vote for Puya here? Or were you like totally like up in the air wanting to see what they said?
I was probably going in more leaning towards Puya. Really, okay. At the point where when Jenny and Bobby wouldn't even consider talking with me and wanted to go to the end with the showmance, I feel like that was to me it was pretty much like in my mind I was voting for Liana, but I felt like that was it for Jenny and Bobby.
There you go.
I think I said at that point. I said, okay, Jenny and Bobby, who should I vote for at the end, Puya or Liana?
So I have. Sorry, go ahead, Beth. You were about to ask something. I have one last question. And you guys, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to submit them in the chat and everything. You kind of said before that like one of the hardest parts was having to not being able to communicate with everybody, like that difference between Sequester and Survivor. Was that like the hardest part of playing Sequester to you, or was there something else that was like this was the hardest part of playing Sequester?
Probably the inability to pee when you wanted to.
Yeah, you couldn't pee. I should have brought a book. I think that was also one of the hardest things. Yeah, there's just the room thing. Like when the rooms got down to only 2 people per room, like that was really tough to navigate, especially for Puya. Puya and Liana, like being like totally on the same page for the most part, and like being able to have sort of like a better sense of communication than the other people. That was just really tough to navigate towards the end.
Yeah, definitely. We have some people asking, would you play again with a non-RHAP cast? What do you think about that?
Well, who's the cast? Is it like other people from?
I'll play.
I'll play too. I haven't played yet.
What we need to do is get a podcaster versus non-podcaster cast. Like have half podcasters and then half like people who watch us, kind of thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
We'd all get out.
I'm open to it, but I feel I need to recharge the battery.
It takes a lot out of you
for a while.
Yeah, I mean, Shannon was saying that like her mind was just like totally melted going into recording a podcast right after playing Sequester. So I hope she's doing okay.
Yeah,
it's traumatizing. Rob, I played in my mini, and you want to talk about having to pee. Like if you had to pee, you had to like take the camera with you, and you had to like half of you had to be on camera while you're peeing.
I'll be honest, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could do that. I left I wasn't on a laptop. I left the room. I wasn't cheating. Anybody who watched how little I knew about anything knew I wasn't cheating.
I had to pee in a cup. I peed literally in a cup with half of my head showing, and I had to have one hand showing. So I had like half of me. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, it was funny because last night I was like, this is not like our normal Sequester mini players who might know the rules and all that kind of stuff. Like we're going to be a little bit more lenient. So when it was downtime after the votes had been cast, before Audrey was doing the next round stuff, I would tell people like, if you don't have a laptop or a camera that you can bring with you, you need to run, but you need to be back in like a minute. Yeah. And I think people started saying like, oh, well, Beth's the nice mod that's letting people run to the bathroom. So that's why I feel like room 1 started getting really popular at the end of the round. So people all of a sudden jump into my room.
I was abused in my room. I had to pee on camera. So,
Henning, who's in the chat.
Yeah.
I think that's it, unless we have any other last questions. But I gotta say, Rob, like, great game. I fully expected you to be the first booth.
Yeah,
not gonna
thank
lie.
you. I appreciate it. That I really I had the most fun game. Like I didn't really have this experience in either of my Survivor games, and I feel like that this was like the wish fulfillment of like the Survivor game. That's like the most fun to play. Like I was basically, and I know not everybody loves Rick Devins, but like that's really what I was. I was a person like I understand like probably there were like a lot of people. It was flashy. It was exciting. I was never in control of anything. Mm-hmm. I played idols. I had immunity. I was basically, people were going home most of the time. It had nothing to do with me. People, there were like just to go back to that example, like there were the people that were running everything, and I was not any of them. So I played like the flashiest and most fun game, but that there were a ton of people that had way more of a sense of what was going on, and I really don't want to come across in any way like I'm taking credit for playing so great. I stayed out of the way. I got lucky a bunch of times. I had the LOS twice when my name came up, and I played that correctly. And
that's like having an idol and playing it correctly, though.
It was. And both times that I played it, it was because I clearly heard my name being talked about, and I won immunity at a time when immunity, like my name was going to come up, so that was I was very lucky. And I had a lot of fun, but I had no idea what was going on the entire time.
That's all right. Well, I saw on Twitter, like a bunch of people were saying, like, if anybody is questioning whether or not Rob still has it in terms of like gameplay and just like being like a really great player in these things, this look no further than the Sequester Mini. So
my favorite tweet was saying something like Rob proving that old school players still can go far in the game.
Yes. Thank you. I represent old school. It was just in terms of like Survivor, where in the cast that I talked to, and I do a lot of like post game interviews with people, like when Kelly Wentworth played Second Chances. I remember like doing like, and she was like a big fan favorite, and she was on the bottom, and she played idols, and she had the whole underdog thing, and she hit the same wall of like nobody wanted her to be in the final three. And then, in doing like interviews with people after the season, they can remain nameless, but people being like, oh, Kelly didn't even have any idea what was going on. She was lucky. She had idols, and everybody thinks she's so great. But that I got to have my, Kelly Wentworth season, my Rick Devins season of, and it was wonderful, and I loved it.
It was entertaining, and we loved watching it. And we're so happy that you signed on to do the Sequester Mini. And hopefully we'll see you and some of your crew playing Sequester, whether it's online, the Mini, maybe the live version. Would you ever do that?
Well, I don't know if we're ever allowed to one day be there. I don't know. I would tentatively be up for the Mini again. My wife would have to sign off. That I told my wife that she was. I did the 8-hour mini game last night, and then I told my wife that I was doing an interview today about the mini game, and she said, "You are so lucky that you're married to me. Any other wife would leave their husband for playing in a game and then doing an interview about the game."
Please tell Nicole that we're so thankful for her to that she's so supportive, because it really was wonderful.
So I could not do it without the support of the First Lady of Podcasting.
You're so lucky, because my Captain Obvious is what I call my significant other. He will look at me sometimes and go, "Don't you need to be on YouTube bitching about something? Don't you have something to talk about somewhere else?" So you're lucky.
Well, I also want to say that I just was really impressed with everything from the Sequester game, and I just thought that it was such a great thing for people right now. Like, I'm really glad that everybody got a lot of enjoyment enjoyment out of it. Everybody, almost everybody that played, and then also the people that were watching. It was just like such a nice, fun distraction that everybody got to do without leaving their house, and there was like a lot of like buzz and excitement about the whole thing. So I really just have to commend Audrey and the whole team, and it's such a great thing for people, and the time is so perfect for this type of thing right now when people are looking for games and ways to connect and distractions and excitement and something that's positive to get to interact with. So I really I just have so much admiration for just like the whole Sequester community, and this is the time for Sequester right now.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
I will say it's hard. You have to find a silver lining in everything. And I was telling them Wednesday night, Rob, when Tyson made it back into the game, I was sitting on my couch crying uncontrollably with my cat in my lap. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm so happy right now that Tyson got back in the game. And I know it's because I've been quarantined for 18 days.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy. And it's like the littlest thing. And I was like so happy. And it's like the smallest things, like playing a Sequester Mini, watching a Sequester Mini, and thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I was very excited for Tyson to get back in. Also, Tyson's a great friend, and I have two boys, and they're 4 and 6, and my older son, he's met Tyson, and he was really excited that Tyson was going to be on this season, and he was crying when Tyson got voted off, and I was like, then it's okay, Dominic, we can call Tyson. Like, Dad, we can't call him. He's on the edge of extinction. But he was so happy. He was so happy when he got back into the game.
Yeah. Well, this is our, if anybody's ever interested in a Tyson or really a Denise Stapley fan podcast, this is the one to check out on Wednesdays for sure. But yes, I completely agree. I think that, this is the time for Survivor and for Sequester and orgs and all these different kinds of things. So we're just happy that you and your crew were able to help make this something special for everybody to watch. So thank you.
I really I don't know when they're gonna be able to film a Survivor season, or when how far behind they're gonna get with Big Brother. I mean, what you guys are doing, like this is gonna be it. This is like could be the summer of Sequester.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Awesome. Well, if you watching this right now want to participate in a Sequester Mini, go become a patron for Sequester. That's your ticket into there. It's a really fun game to play, and it's great to support Sequester because the team is such a small production, and they need like every bit of help they can to make all these awesome, great games happen. So definitely check that out and contribute to them. Do you guys have any last thoughts or anything before we head out?
I just wanted to say real quick, Rob, you coming on this show means the world to me. I am a huge fangirl, and I don't know if you know this or not, but I've been listening to you since 2014, and you inspired me to start my weekly meltdown in 2015. I was literally filming in my car at lunch my own little 10-minute Big Brother breakdowns, and for it to be 5 years later and my podcast idol is on my show right now, words cannot express. I've always kind of referred to my show as, I've always said, I'm like Rob's little sister that you can't get rid of. I've always kind of referred to that show that way. But you have really inspired me, and this show would not be here if it weren't for you. So I just wanted to personally thank you so much for everything that you do.
Allison, thank you so much. I remember, when you were, we first talked after everything with Big Brother 20, what was going with that whole mess. And I really appreciate the sentiment, and congrats on 5 years of doing the podcast, and it's very nice to come on. This is like for me, this whole experience was really, really fun, and then I got to, this was like maybe as close as I'll ever get to going back and playing Survivor again. I even got to do a deep dive about my game, so it's a full this was really, really fun, and congrats again to Puya on a job well done.
And I have a little secret to share.
Yes.
I have been on a roll with picking Survivor winners. Tyler will never let me shine in this spotlight because I've picked winners. And I privately picked Puya as the winner of the. I just kind of looked at and just on sight and whatever. I just said, you know what, I bet this guy's gonna win, and I just never thought about it again. And then he won. I'm a nana. I fell asleep at 9:00 last night. Okay, I was out, and I woke up this morning and I was like, Did Puya
really texted me and went,
like, I was like, are you serious? Somebody needs to take me to the casino because this is getting scary.
You're hot.
Trash.
I know.
I was not the trash. We don't want to take you to the trash. We're taking you to the trash. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Rob. We appreciate you coming on and taking another hour of your day away from your kids and your wife to talk more with us. So thank you so much, and thank you to Nicole again.
Well, I'll be sure to thank her. We're gonna have a family dinner tonight, so that'll be we'll spend some time tonight.
Yeah.
Well, everyone subscribe to Rob has a podcast and RHAP and check them out. They are amazing. We love them. So please do that.
Yes.
And follow Rob on Twitter. He loves that. Don't you love that, Rob?
I do love when people follow me on Twitter. I try to come up with some stuff. And I mostly love hearing back feedback from people. It's very, very fun to get to interact with everybody in this community, and mostly everybody is nice.
Yeah. I was told once that if E.T. and Reese Witherspoon and a zombie had a threesome, I would be the result.
Wow.
Yeah.
On Twitter?
Yeah, on Twitter. And I've been, when I started out, it was really rough.
Yeah.
Now I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
You reach a point. You reach a point with it. You have to get past that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
All right. Well, make sure if you like what you saw here, make sure you like and subscribe to My Weekly Meltdown so you can watch all of our Survivor 40 recaps and Big Brother if that's still happening this summer.
I think it's going to happen, Tyler.
Summer.
You don't think it's happening?
No, I do think it's going to happen. I think that this is what I've been saying, that I think that I think they're going to be really hard, and this is just rampant speculation on my part. I think that they're going to be really hard pressed to get a Survivor season in, but I think that because of the way that there's going to be so much delays in getting back to production for shows, I think that one of the first shows that's going to be back up and running will be Big Brother, and I wouldn't be surprised if Big Brother, I don't think they're going to be able to start it in the traditional time that they do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Big Brother ends up being sort of like the cornerstone of the fall lineup for CBS. Like, I could see Big Brother starting September 1st and going through like Thanksgiving.
I would love that.
I said the same thing. I said they could do like an OTT part 2 or something.
It might be on 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But
I mean, God. It'll just be live feeds. That's all CBS will be.
What if they did
3 hours a night?
Yeah.
Forget Big Brother After Dark. This is Big Brother Primetime. We've got nothing else.
It'll turn into Big Brother at the crack of dawn, Big Brother at noon, Big Brother.
And the ratings will be 20 million people an episode because there will be nothing else to watch.
Yeah, there you go.
Especially if they do end up canceling the NFL.
Right. Everybody's going to be jumping on our coattails because, like, I hate reality shows. I can't believe you. How do you even watch that stuff? And they're going to be the ones glued to their TVs watching all these train wrecks. Period.
Yep.
Perfect.
So, yes.
So I am bullish on Big Brother coming back before they're able to get a Survivor season filmed.
Yeah. Well, something's better than nothing, so I'll take what I can get at this point. So
you know what they should do? They should take a bunch of ex-Survivor players and put them in the Big Brother house. It'll be like a combo.
Well, I think that we could also get the return of a celebrity Big Brother as well. I do think that that's also a possibility where, I think that they could do a regular Big Brother and then a celebrity Big Brother, or vice versa.
What if they asked you to do Celebrity Big Brother, Rob? Would you?
I mean, I'm not nearly like, if they did like maybe some sort of like what they did on The Amazing Race of like, okay, we're gonna get like reality TV people, and then I think I would prefer that to going back and doing a Survivor, but I think and maybe that's a way that they look at it, where that, hey, we can't get good enough celebrities, but people watch the reality shows for the reality people anyway. So maybe we'll see if we could find people that were former CBS reality people and put them in the Big Brother house.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love to have a Big Brother that was Big Brother, Amazing Race, and Survivor.
God, I would have loved that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up so that you can get back to your family. But thank you guys so much again for tuning in. You can follow Allison, Tyler, and myself all on Twitter as well. Follow My Weekly Meltdown on Instagram. And
subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We're new to podcasts too.
Whoa.
So if you want to listen to that, this interview will be on Apple Podcasts as well. So definitely check out My Weekly Meltdown there as well.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. And if you are a normal viewer, we will be back Wednesday night at 9/8 Central for our Survivor 40 coverage.
There you go.
Thank you, Rob. We appreciate it.